Chris, you're the resident driver coach, at least at everyone that we've got here, with definitely the most years doing it since we got a young crowd tonight. But you were here last week. You were helping Dante Yu. He got rolling pretty good, was right there with the guy next to you. What are some of the keys your drivers got to worry about when coming to New Orleans? This is a big racetrack, but it's got a lot of technical parts too. As we kind of saw in the final, you know, you can gear it two different ways. You can gear it kind of for the straight. You can gear it for the infield and kind of try to survive on the straight. You know, I think the biggest thing is just being similar to Newcastle, just being smart and not putting yourself in a situation passing wise or racing too much with a competitor where you lose the draft and you kind of lose that ability to get back into the fight for the win. Luckily, Dante was fast enough to catch Paulie. But, I mean, you know, Paulie putting down some laps at one point. I was getting really worried. And that's kind of the biggest thing is just being smart. I think it really the track lends itself to really smart drivers, hence why you saw 3 very experienced drivers at the front in X30 Senior. Yeah, a lot of experience at the front. In fact, this is probably the most experienced field that we're going to see in a little bit, at least what I would guess, because every other event this year seems to have more rookies on the schedule. Utah maybe will change that, but we have 5 less rookies here in the field than this time, and some of them have K100 experience here at NOLA. Paulie, speaking of experience, you got a few years here. You were quick last week and finally got a checkered flag. It had been a minute.
Yeah, it's been quite a while, but no, we had good fun last week. It just testing a bunch of stuff, and like Chris said, with the whole gearing way about it, I think it was pretty solid. Definitely learned a lot. I think the main trouble here is not getting tired, because lap 6, I was ready to lap 6, I was kind of like, all right, we can get 2 to go now. I was getting a little tired, so.
Paulie, you know I'm racing shifter this weekend?
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm going to be dead. I was dead today. I did 5 laps at GoPro and was dead.
But I think, Connor, you actually work out.
Whoa,
right?
whoa. Have you seen Connor's build? Come on now.
I was actually pretty surprised. I've never raced. I've only driven a couple laps at NOLA. I was actually pretty surprised at how some very experienced drivers that have a lot of laps that even if they don't work out like Paulie, but are race shape, we're like, dude, that was hard. Especially they said the stadium section was really physical because you're high G load for so long. It was pretty surprising how physical that track is.
I'm starting to think about it now. It's not going to be good for me.
Reconsidering?
Oh, boy. I'll be good for 5 laps, and then I'll just block, because you can do that in a shifter.
Dalton, what about you, man? What did you learn this week here? First time at this racetrack. You got the test weekend and the TSRS, learned a little bit too. I mean, anything that sticks out to you that's like a big point drivers need to kind of pick up and be quick here?
Well, I mean, it was completely opposite from Orlando. Like, I'd never been to either of these tracks, but it's extremely fun. It's very fast and very physical. You have to be on it like every single lap while also trying to save your tires because it really works the tires really hard. I mean, shoot, I was slow. You have to ask Paulie about this because I was slow the entire week. We were just finding the setup the entire weekend. That's all it was for. You know, it's just practice. You need to have the race time and the setup. So you need to have it set up for when earlier in the weekend and then later in the weekend when the track really rubbers in. Honestly, it's going to be a lot about qualifying from what I saw.
Used to the race, so I think gearing is going to be quite important. I think the people that typically are going to, I think the people that win are going to be kind of steadily working forward. I don't think there's going to be any domination. But I think that the people that can keep the tires till the end of the day will end up doing well in the final.
After the backstretch, it seems pretty technical. I mean, do you think we'll see – you said you didn't see anyone dominate. Do we think we end up with a few at the end or one guy kind of stretching it out?
I don't know. I think the tough thing is here, especially because this is one of those tracks where you can run kind of way high on the sprocket or way low and kind of do the same lap time, that it's going to make the racing a little bit more difficult just because, I mean, there's going to just be people that are quick some parts of the track and then slow others. So I don't really see it being like Newcastle where everyone's just kind of, similar pace everywhere and just kind of getting held there by the draft. But I don't know. I mean, anything can happen, really.
Yeah, Chris, what do you think? About the same there? Do you think we'll end up with, like Braden said, tougher to pass or more?
Yeah, like Brain said, I mean, you really don't know. It could end up being where there's 2, 3, 4, 5 guys that are able to stay put. But honestly, I think with the tire wear, especially with the grading that they've had to do on the track over the last couple of years, it's not as bad as Utah's tire deg, but of the tracks we race out, it's probably the second worst tire deg that we get. The tire doesn't get really eaten up like you see in Utah, but the life of the tire, you see, if you notice in well, never mind. I won't say that yet. But you'll see the tire deg's pretty high. So I think there is definitely ability for the drivers at the front to break away simply based on that. I mean, if you're better on the tire, it doesn't matter the draft. There's enough technical infield part to pull and kind of break the draft if you're geared right to get away. So I could see a guy getting away, definitely.
Paulie, what about you? You were in the mix this week. What do you think?
The tires have life, but you gotta be very easy, and sometimes you can feel it. Like I know there's one lap or a few laps actually, like last weekend where I was like over driving a lot, and then you can feel it. So then you gotta just kind of remember to stay calm and back it down and just be normal. Just drive, be normal. So I think that'll be a big part.
Yeah,
Dante also said that when he got passed by Ryan, it was almost like a blessing in disguise in a way, because there was no pressure from behind, that he could kind of sit back. He knew he had the pace, so he could kind of sit back and cool his tires off a little bit, where Ryan had to push to try to get back up to Paulie and had to use his tires a little bit more. And he had fresher tires because he didn't run the second heat, right? But you saw kind of the last 2-3 laps, Dante probably had the best pace out of the three, when just a couple laps before that, Ryan definitely was the fastest. And I think it really just had to do with how you could control your tire temp more than anything.